If you are going through a burnout right now, there is probably one particular feeling that you struggle the most with, and this is a feeling of loneliness. I have experienced this myself, and today I want to talk to you about why you feel this way, how you can use this loneliness to gain insights that strengthen you, and how to get out of this. Hi, I'm Andre, and about 2 years ago I experienced my burnout. And when it all started, I thought I have to fight myself out of it. I have to work myself out of this hole. And the more I tried to resist it, the more I would fall back. It became increasingly difficult for me to do everyday tasks, to get up in the morning, to go to work, and so on, until I reached the point where I thought, okay, this is it, I cannot do it anymore, I give up. And then I went on sick leave and decided to spend time with myself. And if you logically think about this, you would say, now's the time to relax, to take care of yourself and get back on your feet. But that wasn't the case with me, because then I realized how much of negative emotions, thoughts, and everything I accumulated over the past months. And I realized for the first time how big the damage was that had been done. And it felt like going from 180 to 0, and I had to focus only on my internal life, on my emotions, on my thoughts. And that brings us directly to point number one, why we feel this way, why we feel the loneliness. And that is the discrepancy between you and the outside world. In everyday life, we focus on outside tasks. What is on my to-do list? What needs to be done at work? When am I going to meet my friends? And you probably have learned over the years to always stay positive, to always think ahead, there's always a solution for everything. And now your burnout forces you in the complete opposite, and to take care of your emotions, your thoughts, and you tend to pull back, and that's where the gap arises. These topics that you focus on right now, they are quite uncommon in our day-to-day life. When was the last time you had a beer with a bunch of friends when someone said, hey, I feel an emptiness inside, let's talk about that? That is quite unusual. So these things tend to be ignored or trigger arguments through defense mechanisms and thus avoided. While it seems for you that the outside world keeps perfectly running, you tend to pull back and spend more time with yourself. It is not good to spend too much time with yourself, not meeting anyone, and lock yourself in your apartment. But in reality is that this is what tends to happen. If now your family and friends try to motivate you, and they mean it well, but it can have the opposite effect on you, because you know exactly what is good for you, what you should do, but you just can simply not implement it or do it right now. As a result, you react distanced and feel misunderstood by everyone, and the gap gets bigger. So what can we do about this? Well, first of all, simply understand that this gap is there and there is nothing personal about it. Of course, your family, your parents, your friends mean it well, but they do not see the struggle you're going through. Only you can see it. You want to be more understood. But if you're honest to yourself, wouldn't you do exactly the same, or have already in the past? When a friend comes along and tells you that they're not feeling well mentally, wouldn't you tell nice words to motivate them and try to make them feel better? So understand that there is the gap, nothing is personal about it, and although you don't see it now, it will all make sense. And that brings us to the second point. What is the purpose of the loneliness? What a stupid question, you might think, but let's focus on what is the purpose of the burnout first. What I didn't understand for a very long time, or didn't want to internalize, is that the burnout is not the cause that needs to be fought, but merely the effect. It is the body's response as an emergency brake to prevent you from doing your body more damage. Because let's be honest here, you probably ignored a lot of warning signs of your body beforehand. I know I have, because I thought to myself, no, I am stronger, I can do this. And it's similar with the loneliness. It forces you to rethink and reconsider things that you took for granted. It makes you listen to your thoughts and allows you to acknowledge long repressed emotions. and it gives you a chance of a change of course. Don't get me wrong, loneliness is a terrible feeling, especially during the time where you need the most care and affection. I myself have run from this feeling long enough. I didn't want to feel this uncomfortable silence until I got to the point where all the changes in the outside world didn't make any difference anymore, and then I collapsed internally. That's why it's essential to endure this feeling of loneliness, to name it when it's there, and to listen to your thoughts and see what they're trying to tell you. Those thoughts can consist of negative spirals, and in the beginning it can be very scary to listen to that, but realize it's just thoughts that you don't have to follow and that are not reflecting the reality. You don't have to act them out, just listen to them as objectively as possible and find reoccurring patterns. And the thought patterns that are reoccurring and feel terrible today will not be as powerful in a month, in 6 months from now. When you start doing this, don't be too harsh on yourself. It takes practice. You will have moments where you lose yourself again in the thoughts. Don't kick yourself for that. It is all part of the process. And with the time, you will get better in this. And that is actually already point number 3. How do we get out of this? But also realizing that you are not alone with this problem. The paradox with mental health issues is that they're becoming more and more, but people talk less and less about it in society. And you probably get the feeling that it's no one in your surroundings, no one that you know, and you don't want to be the first one who breaks the seal or talks about this, and so feel other people as well. So it's an occurring problem that arises, that gets bigger, but people just don't talk about this. Ideally, of course, you talk to a therapist about that and get together to your core of your problems, even if you might think, what can a therapist tell me about myself that I don't know? I made the mistake, and trust me, the answer is a lot. I can highly recommend it to everyone. But what is also important is that you open up to people that are close to you, family, friends, your partner. When you do that, make sure you talk to people that show understanding in your situation. When you get the feeling that you're not being heard, you tend to withdraw even more, and the gap that we talked about before gets bigger. But what is equally important, or I would almost say more important, is that you show compassion for yourself. Sitting on the couch for 3 days and scrolling through Instagram it sucks, let's be honest. But you know what's worse? Sitting on the couch, scrolling through Instagram and gradually hating yourself for that, because that gets you more into the downward spiral and makes you feel worse, and you get less things done. Like I said before, there is a reason why your body forced you in your shutdown, and you should treat yourself with compassion and do not compare yourself with when you were full of energy and could run a marathon. And if you tell yourself, I feel like a piece of crap, I don't deserve to be treated well, there's a little psychological trick. Imagine one of your loved ones would be in exactly the same situation that you are in right now. Wouldn't you want them to feel well and to be treated well? If it helps for you, talk to you in the third person. It feels a bit weird in the beginning. It helped for me at least to get me sometimes out of this spiral. What I said before also applies here. It is a process that needs to be learned step by step, and it takes time to discover yourself again or build yourself up from scratch in some parts. What may work in other parts of life with more pressure, faster results, is exactly the opposite with burnout. You need to approach this project of recovery, if you will, with patience and understanding. And I wish you all the success with it. Feel free to write in the comments what you think of this, what your experiences with loneliness during burnout are. Maybe you have some more tips, maybe I haven't considered something. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and see you next time.